I can't believe this is actually a discussion. This is something that is actually being considered. This is where I just completely draw the line in the sand and I say no. This is way too far. I don't care what you think about esports, what you think about Major League Gaming and professional gaming, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what your stance is on it, whether you think it's just stupid, these fucking kids drinking Mountain Dew and trying to, being tryhards, and this competitive scene is just pretty much a meme at this point. Some people may think it's a joke, other people might actually take it seriously. It doesn't matter what your viewpoint is. If you think it's just stupid to try to make a professional career out of playing video games, or whatever you think about it. I think any reasonable human being that actually respects athletes, like real athletes, I think you should just draw the line in the sand right here. You could be a huge, avid supporter of esports. I don't even like that terminology because esports, it's electronic sports. And I think those two just, I feel like an electronic sport isn't a complete oxymoron. A sport is something that involves athletics and is competitive. And while esports are definitely competitive, I consider, games like Call of Duty maybe not the best example, but RTS games, like, League of Legends is a good example. Overwatch, Rainbow Six, or whatever game you could think of. Rocket League. They definitely have the competitive aspect of it. But, like I said with that discussion I had last summer with Bullet Barry, that I got in a lot of trouble with the community. Oh my god, you don't know what you're talking about. You're very disrespectful to people who play esports. And I'm trying to say, I'm not being disrespectful to people who play esports as much as people who are into esports are disrespectful to real athletes. People who play real sports. So when people say esports, I just feel like, again, it's a complete oxymoron. It's just those two words completely contradict each other. Because when something's electronic, it can't be athletic too. I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense to me. I absolutely hate the term esports, but I only use it because it's, common tongue. And when I say esports, it's recognizable to everybody, so that's why I keep saying esports. I really, really don't want to ever say that word again. So I'm just going to say competitive gaming. Competitive gaming, being in the fucking Summer Olympics, makes no sense at all. I mean, it makes, no, don't get me wrong, it makes total sense from a marketing standpoint. They want to attract younger people, and this MLG shit is breaking in billions of dollars. But to put it in the Olympic Games, it's just, I feel like it just completely devalues the Olympic Games so much. And to the real athletes that train hard, they work out, they work their ass off for years to get in the Olympic Games. To have these jackasses on computers, with their keyboard and mouse and their computer screen, being considered on the same league as them, should be an absolute slap in the face to anybody who is an Olympic athlete or a fan of Olympics. Especially when they were actually thinking about, years ago, removing wrestling from the Olympic Games. The original plan was to remove Olympic wrestling from the Summer Olympics. Wrestling, which is one of the first sports in Olympic history that dates back to ancient Greece. They're going to remove that. Now they're talking about putting fucking video games in the Olympic Games. It's just a joke. I know a lot of people wouldn't expect someone who, is a I guess, hardcore gamer, someone who's really into the video games and talks about, has a channel dedicated to the video game industry. And I'm not even a big fan of athletics. I'm not even a big fan of the Olympics. But, goddamn, it just seems very insulting to me. And it must be insulting to these athletes that they're actually considering putting video games in the Olympics. Why are they even going to bother, first of all? You know, Olympics, you have different countries competing against each other. Man, if you have the Olympic Games, if you put competitive gaming into the Summer Olympic Games, we all know South Korea is going to win all the gold medals. I mean, come on. South Korea is just incredible. They're the most skilled gamers in the entire world, so you don't even bother having Olympic Games if you're going to do it. You know, with the Olympic Games, you do it by country. You don't have, like, optic and phase. It's Team USA, Team China. So when you have the Olympic Games, South Korea is just going to kick everyone's ass. Why even bother having a competition in that case? But all jokes aside, and it's probably not even a joke, but you know what I mean. Besides all that, it's just, you can't put something that just has nothing to do with the Olympics in the Olympic Games. Because at that point, you're just completely taking a shit on the Olympic Games and its prestige when you do something like that. May not be a popular position to have in the video game industry, in the video game community, when competitive gaming is idolized. These competitive gamers are pretty much celebrities and revered in the video game community. You can't be someone that's a part of that community and pretty much say, hey, this shit is fucking stupid, because I know you're not a real gamer, or you're not, well, it makes no sense for you to say that, because aren't you supposed to be a gamer? I'm just someone who acknowledges reality. That's the way I see it. And the reality is that something that has over 2 millennia of history of being athletic competition, the best athletes around the world competing for gold medals. When you put video games into that, it just seems like a kick to the balls. And I really have a problem with that. I really have a problem with that. And this is coming from someone, again, who doesn't, I'm not an Olympic head. I don't really watch the Olympics that much. But even though I'm not an athlete, or not into that kind of, that kind of thing, I'm not really into the Olympics. I'm just an objective person here. I'm just someone who, sees the way, just sees the things, and I know the history of the Olympics. And to see video games actually being considered, they're actually considering putting Olympics in the 2024. They're putting video games in the 2024 Summer Olympics. And it's all but confirmed that that's what's going to happen. If that really happens, then, first of all, on behalf of the entire video game community, I'm going to have to make an apology on behalf of the community for taking a shit on the Olympic Games. Because I'm sorry, when you have people running track, when you have people, wrestling, doing Olympic wrestling, when you have people doing Olympic boxing, when you have, whatever sport it may be, when you have that, and then you have people sitting in a row of desks on their keyboard and mouse on a fucking screen at the Summer Olympics, where it's supposed to be all about athletics. No. You have your own tournaments, you have your own competitions, you're still not fucking happy. You still think you need more recognition. There's a negative stigma towards esports and competitive gaming. We need to change that. So by changing that, we're going to put it in the Olympics. No. It's just... I don't even know what else to say about this, really. I feel like we as a society, if we're going to accept something like this, we have gone completely insane. We have gone completely off track. To actually think that a video game can be a sport. Well, it makes sense. We do have an obesity problem in America. So we're going to promote digital sports, digital electronic sports on the same level as being an actual athlete, someone who runs track. No, they're on equal footing. Yeah, it's a good inspiration to people. Very good inspiration. Not really. We already have a huge epidemic with people being just glued to their screens, and there's absolutely no problem with that. Now we're going to ingrain it in our culture that, oh yeah, they're even putting, it's already happening, they're putting esports competitions, competitive gaming, professional gaming, on ESPN. They've been doing that for a little bit now. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. They just keep going further and further and further and further and further. It's just further insane than they were before. I don't know what else to say about this. So I'm just going to end it right here. I don't care what people say. You can say whatever you want. But you're not going to convince me that people who play fucking video games should be considered on the same level as people who actually are athletes. Okay? Working out your fingers on the keyboard doesn't make you a fucking athlete. Knowing how to flick a mouse on a screen doesn't make you a fucking athlete. Okay? It just doesn't. And that's the truth. That's all it needs to be said.